Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant. Streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at WarnerArchiveInstant.com. Support for Just Seen It comes from Weaver's Coffee and Tea, makers of hand-roasted artisan coffee and hand-blended tea. Learn more at weaverscoffee.com. Just Seen It looks at our favorite films based on real-life events. The doomed love story, Titanic. The mob biopic, Goodfellas. And the affecting tale of two boys in Rio de Janeiro, City of God.
Hi, I'm Leah.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Sean. We're going to change pace on Just Seen It because we want to talk about a few movies that are based on true stories. Now, what's so great about movies based on true stories?
Truth's sometimes stranger than fiction. And when we storytell, make films, plays, whatever the format is, it helps us make sense out of the crazy stuff in the real world. Otherwise, you know, based on some of the films that we're going to talk about today, we would never leave our homes because we'd be too scared.
I'd never go to Brazil.
We'd never go to Brazil. We'd never get on another boat. We'd never get on another plane.
I'm going to talk about City of God, a Brazilian film that came out in 2002. So the film is based on a novel that was written by Paulo Lins about all of these events that actually took place in the favelas in Rio de Janeiro. The director is Fernando Meirelles, and it tells the story of a bunch of kids growing up in a favela in Rio de Janeiro. You get so many different perspectives on what it was like to live in this place, in this time, and be a poor person in Brazil. There's an 8-year-old kid who plays the character of Lil Dice, and he is so amazing to watch. He's just enthralling. He has a look of insanity in his eyes because he's kind of a crazy, screwed up kid. And then in terms of directing, Fernando Meirelles does an incredible job. He uses so many visual techniques from so many different kinds of styles and so many different directors. It's the kind of film where every 45 minutes, something will happen, a scene will transition, and we'll go to somewhere else, and I'll just say, oh my God, this movie is so good.
Ai, me amarro na tua, não vou entrar em contradição contigo não, mano. Sou teu amigo pra caralho. Bota na tua cabeça que eu tô indo embora, assim. Gosto de tu pra caralho, assim. Mas não dá mais pra mim não, parceiro.
We had City of God. Now we have The Ship of Dreams.
Poor Titanic.
Yes.
So what we know to be true is that this big boat left Europe. It was this great monument and testament to technology and what man was able to create, and it was called Titanic. And on April 14th, 1912, the Titanic hit an iceberg in the middle of the night, and a couple hours later, 4 hours later or so, it was at the bottom of the ocean. But for James Cameron, who had a fascination with shipwrecks, for him, his truth associated with that was for people to understand the magnitude of loss. This is a film that has, despite it being as long as it is, has very little fat in it. You know, I sit and I look at this film and I go, oh, they could have cut that, they could have cut that. But in truth, you know, in order for us to care, they needed to have all of that romantic buildup. And what he did was he kind of blended or hybridized this kind of romance melodrama with the disaster picture. As far as spectacle goes,
Sure.
Cameron really, he came out swinging, and no one's touched him since.
Talk to me about Goodfellas, Sean.
So in 1990, we had a picture come out called Goodfellas, and it demystified the romanticized element of The Godfather in terms of living life in the mafia. Directed by Martin Scorsese and written by Scorsese and Nicholas Pileggi, who wrote a novel called Wise Guys about Henry Hill, who was a real-life mobster.
And there's so much grit as opposed to The Godfather.
And you learn the two greatest things in life.
Well,
Look at me. Never rat on your friends, and always keep your mouth shut.
and you know, all the gangster movies that have really come out since Goodfellas owe something to that movie. You even have Scorsese basically making the closest thing you could to a sequel, Casino, which in some ways is made to demystify Goodfellas.
Yes.
It's even darker and grittier, and terrible tragic things happen in that movie. But Joe Pesci is terrific, as is the entire cast. I mean, there's not a bad performance in the entire movie. You've got Ray Liotta, of course, playing Henry Hill. You've got Robert De Niro. You have Paul Sorvino. I mean, it's one heck of a terrific cast. And Martin Scorsese, my goodness. I mean, the filmmaking in this is just amazing. It's a classic gangster picture, and it's a classic American picture. It's a classic movie.
City of God is my pick because it has it all. Fantastic writing, unbelievable performances, amazing camera work and editing. It's just a flawless film. You gotta go see it.
James Cameron's Titanic was a game changer. If you haven't seen it, it's worth the 3 hours. See it.
The gangster film pretty much has replaced the Western as a purely American genre, and there's The Godfather and there's Goodfellas, and that places it in pretty good company, so you should go out right now and see it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I'm gonna tell my life story.
He did make Piranha 2.
Yeah.
So.
Piranha is awesome. That series is great.
Support for Just Seen It comes from Weaver's Coffee and Tea, makers of hand-roasted artisan coffee and hand-blended tea. Learn more at weaverscoffee.com. Support for Just Seen It comes from Warner Archive Instant, streaming hard-to-find movies and TV shows direct from the studio at warnerarchiveinstant.com.